All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, being how it's National Women's Month, I definitely wanted to get some women that are doing things here in the Pacific Northwest. So I have a friend of mine, Whitney Hart, that has partnered up with a good friend of hers, Penny, who has started up a women's organization or club, whatever you want to call it, here in Washington. So without further ado, what's up, Whitney?
Not much.
How was your day today? What have you done?
Just gotten ready, and then I had to do, grocery shopping, getting ready for the week, whatever.
You guys
So
have an event coming up today at Orvis.
yeah, yeah. So we have a meet and greet. So we just started back in January with the group, and so we wanted to do a meet and greet. We had I'd gone to like another event at Orbis, and they were super excited, and they're like, "Hey, like we want to support you guys." So we decided to do our first meet and greet there.
What was the other event you did at Orvis?
It My guide friend Kristen, she was doing a trout behavior kind of talk or something like that. So I went, yeah, we all went to support her, and it was really good. So yeah, so I kind of met like the Penny had met the manager over at Orbit at the store, and she was like, "Hey, let me know what you guys can do," and then yeah, so really
Nice.
great. Yeah,
And then you guys basically started this organization, I think you said at the beginning of the year.
yeah. So we kind of got our Facebook up and going around January, and then we've just kind of been trying to work on, you know, getting events together, that kind of thing.
Nice. How did this come about?
So I've been thinking about it for a while. Like when I've only been in Seattle for two-ish year, a couple of years. I've been kind of here around 2019 and met some women through some fly tying nights and stuff like that. And then through COVID, it kind of died down. Like not a lot of people were doing stuff. And I really kind of miss that community and getting out with other women. My husband doesn't fly fish, so it's like either I go out by myself or have to find friends to go with. So I was missing that community, and I'd been thinking about it for a while, but just kind of put it off because it felt like a lot of work. And then through some mutual friends, somebody told me Penny was also thinking about it, and she had already kind of gotten like a Facebook at least started. And so like I talked to her, we'd known each other for a few years. So I talked to her and we're like, let's do it. Let's get this going. So here we are.
That's cool. You guys just basically saw it started out of something you guys wanted to do and just bring other people around and get more people involved and just kind of go from there.
Yeah. So just, we're trying to do at least one fishing event, like an outing a month. And then we're trying to do some fly tying nights. I did say that right. Um, I always say like tie flying all the time.
Right. I
Um,
get things backwards all the time.
yeah. So yeah, so we'll try to do that at least probably not through summer and stuff like that. Summer just seems harder to do that kind of stuff. And then eventually we'd like to get some like free clinics or really low cost clinics going. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the future, but we got to get all that.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good segue into that, the future of it. What kind of clinics are you guys looking at doing, and what kind of people are you looking at getting involved? Looks like Penny's there. Let's see if she,
Oh yeah, bringing her.
there she is. Hold on one sec, guys. We're having Penny get involved here. There she is. Hey, Penny, can you hear us
Hey,
okay?
hey, everybody, sorry to be late.
No, no, good, good. We were just kind of talking about how you guys got started with this and how Whitney and you met and what your guys' vision and what the plans are for the club you guys got going on.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's kind of funny. Whitney and I were both saying we need some kind of an organization, and then our mutual friend Jay Michelle said, "You guys should talk to each other," because we were both going in our own direction. So it was circumstantial, but I'm really glad that we're working on this together.
Nice. I love your background there. For obviously people that can't see, Whitney's got a lake background there with green
Yeah,
trees
Penny
in the
does.
background and blue sky and some shrubs around there. I like that. I'm gonna have to ask you when we get done with this how I do that.
Well, first you got to take pictures when you go fishing.
I do a lot of that.
Okay, then you can. Then it's easy to upload them and use them as your
Yeah, you
back.
just use
It's
your
down on the Oregon
background.
coast.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Is it-
Whitney was
nice.
starting to. What did you say, Whitney? Go ahead.
I said, ooh, Oregon coast. Nice.
Yeah, right. Is that where that is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how'd you know that, Whitney?
Oh, she just said that.
Oh, well, it helps if I listen, right? So Whitney was starting to tell us about some of the clinics that you guys want to put on, start doing, and I was asking her, what's kind of your guys' vision of that? What kind of clinics are you looking to do, and what kind of things and people are you maybe interested in getting involved in that?
I'll let you take that, Penny, because
Okay. Well, one of the things that I think Whitney and I have both observed in our years in the fly fishing world, and I've probably been in it a little bit longer than Whitney, is that it can be really intimidating for women to take classes with men and feel sometimes that they're getting either equal treatment or that they're not having to live up to some some different standard. And so what we're thinking about with our clinics is having them be kind of drop in and offering things like some casting practice, knot tying, right? Here's some knots that you might need to know, or here's some new ones, right, that you might come in handy. Rigging, what's the best way to rig? How do we maintain our gear? Those kinds of things. And so Whitney and I don't profess to be experts. I'm not an expert on almost anything. I know enough to be dangerous, but that's the kind of thing that we hope that we may be able to find folks that want to help us out with providing some expertise during those clinics. But we want them to be very informal and not overwhelming or like an all-day thing, because that's sometimes pretty challenging for anybody, but particularly for women who are balancing career, life, children, partners, whatever.
Yeah, that's good. Do you guys know who Amanda butcher her last name all the time? Amanda Wilkerson is?
From Emerald Water Anglers?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys touched bases with her?
Yeah, we've talked with her.
Good,
Yeah.
because she's got a big heart. She's actually going to be on in the next couple of weeks, and I know that would definitely be something, if her schedule allows her, would be interested in doing. She's gotten very busy.
Yeah. We know quite a few women that would be really, really good to lead some of these clinics. So we're hoping to reach out and also move them around, not have them always be at one central location, because Puget Sound is pretty big. We cover a pretty wide geographic territory, and so we want to be accessible to folks.
That's good. Yeah. What is your guys' demographic you guys would like to, or geographic you guys would like to cover?
Puget Sound. So yeah, because that kind of goes, there's a few people on kind of the other side, Kitsap area, that down in Olympia, north. So it's kind of all over.
Yeah, it's definitely a big area. I mean, like you said, you guys can go as far down as Olympia, all the way up as far as Bellingham from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is that any woman can be a member, and we, as soon as we put our group up, we got a request from somebody from Spokane who said, I want to know who to connect with when I come over to the Puget Sound area to fish. So it's and I did that when I've traveled across the country. I've connected with women through United Women on the Fly all across the country to find someone to fish with. So it's really nice being able to make the local connection when you're not in your home waters.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, like I think we're all on the same page. We're all just trying to find a community inside of a community, because I mean, like I've started Washington State spay fly fishing, and the whole idea behind it about a year and a half ago was to get guys together so we could fish together. And so many times, guys have such a big ego, right? Like, well, I don't need anybody to go fishing with. I can do it on my own. And I'm the other way. I'm like, hey, let's go. I mean, let's go fish. Let's go have fun. And I love the fact of when guys get together in something we already have a common interest in, guys can take off their armor, so to speak, and they get into, what's really going on in life, to where women are so much better at it. They're just carefree. They have secrets like everybody, but women to me are more open about what's going on in life. Woman goes to another woman, hey, how's it going in life? They'll tell each other how it is. You go ask a guy, how's it going, bro? It's going awesome. No, it's not, you liar. I just saw the post you posted of how you were down and out and depressed. Oh, well, yeah. So I like the community of where people can come together and they can just basically open up, and they're in a relaxed setting to where they can just basically feel relaxed and talk about everything that gets in that we deal with in life, because the outdoors is so much a big outlet for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It certainly is that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, for us, it's nice. I get intimidated to go to new places that I don't know where they are. Like, is it safe for me to go by myself? Is it whatever? So it's nice to, like, I think, meet up with other women and go out together, kind of safety in numbers and that kind of thing. So that's kind of, where I wanted to kind of bring this community together, give that opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for people to just get involved also. I mean, sometimes people may not even want to fly fish. I mean, like we all did the Mayfly project, and we saw how there was times where some of the kids, they just didn't want to fish for whatever reason. And that was fine. Some of them liked just chasing tadpoles or having a net and, trying to net the little fish from there and just having fun being out in the outdoors from there. So I think so many people get caught up where it's like, I have to just fish. It's like, no, just come out, have fun, get around like-minded people. You might meet some new friends from there, and you get to travel to different places. Like you said, Puget Sound's a big area. There's a lot of places to fish.
Yeah, right. For sure.
Yeah. I think the other thing about getting women together is that we are very, I mean, I'm generalizing, of course. I don't want to stereotype, but we're pretty good at encouraging each other.
I agree.
And helping each other out. And so if somebody's struggling with their knots, we're on an outing, somebody else is going to step up and help. If somebody didn't bring a net, somebody else is going to say, stick with me, we'll share a net. I mean, that's my observation in fishing with groups of women. And I'll tell you the one other observation, and I've fished all over the country. I've fished a lot, and I've been on fishing outings with women, and I've been on fishing outings with all men where I was the only woman. And every time, I can say this, every time that I've been with a group of women fishing, we just have more fun. We laugh, we celebrate, we don't care if we make mistakes, we laugh at ourselves and ask for help. And it's that ego thing that just, for the most part, and then again, there are some women anglers who are extraordinarily serious anglers and don't get in the way of me when I'm fishing, don't talk to me when I'm fishing, but that's not the norm. Yeah. And so I think we're looking to be able to provide that opportunity for women who maybe their partner or their husband fishes or their father fishes and they want to fish with them, but they also want to build their independence apart from them. So that's one of the goals that we have. Yeah,
you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's one of my big things is when I go out, like that's the whole reason I got an inflatable raft, is to bring people with me. Because again, I'm like you, I want to go out and laugh, have fun, laugh at myself, ask questions, hey man, how are you doing this? Because I'm doing this. And again, I think guys give such surface answers where it's, well, I just flick it out there. Well, clearly there's more to it than that, because I'm not able to do that. And that's what I'm doing. And I like the whole encouragement part from there too, because I mean, let's be honest, you go to any party, any gathering, who's always interacting with people? It's always women that are the first ones to go out and have fun, interact with people, introduce themselves. And I think the guys can learn a lot from that. And that's why I'm excited to talk. The more I'm talking to more women in the fly fishing industry, that's the common thread I find, is that they're outgoing. They want to have fun with it. And like you said, not everybody, but most of the guys, it's like super competitive and I got to do this and I got to do that. And I'm just like, man, I'm not really like into that. I'm just kind of out here to have fun, enjoy the outdoors and have fun with the casting and see all the scenery from there. So
Mhm.
That's good. I like that. That's what you guys are really trying to hammer on.
Hmm.
So have you traveled anywhere lately, Penny, to fish?
I was on the Yakima last week for 3 days. I haven't, let me see. No, I haven't traveled for a bit. I fished in New Hampshire in November, but that was because I was home on vacation visiting family, and my brother who lives there fishes. So we always go fishing when I'm there.
Is that where you're
And
from?
yeah, originally, yeah.
And then how long have you lived in Washington?
Oh, 40 something years, long, long time.
Okay. And what
Yeah.
brought you over to Washington?
Uncle Sam, I was in the US Army. And
Really?
I got out after almost 8 years of service at Fort Lewis, back
Wow.
when it was Fort Lewis. Of
Well, thank you for serving. Appreciate it.
course, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm sorry, you said you were in the Army for how long?
Almost 8 years.
8 years. And I don't know if you can say, but what was your role or title in the Army?
I can certainly
Okay.
say I was the trombone player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in the Army bands.
Okay. And did you have a band background before you went into the Army?
Yes, I did. Yes.
And was that something you established in school and high school, or how did you get into music?
Yeah, I got into music because my older sister was playing flute in the band, and I thought in high school, and I thought that's really cool. So I was in junior high school. I said I want to play something too. So she brought me home a trombone, and of course this was a few days ago, and I looked at it and was like, opened the case, and I'm like, what are these pieces? How do they go together? I didn't even know what it was. So I pulled out the Encyclopedia Britannica and looked up trombone and got a picture of it, so I knew how it should go together.
Penny,
So
what's
that's
the encyclopedia?
encyclopedia. Yeah, I'm not
What is,
dating
what is
myself at all.
that? No, I
I
know what
know.
that is.
The
It's funny,
original.
my wife just popped in and she's like, I gotta talk to that Penny gal. My wife was a musician and everything. So I told her before we wrap up, I'll have her come in and
Oh,
she
cool.
wants to say hi to you guys. I've talked to
Yeah.
Whitney and Jen when we were at the Mayfly project and been trying to get her around, but she's always had health conditions from time to time. And so I'm looking forward to bringing her out to the event you guys are having at Orvis just to get around the women for the reason why we talked about in the beginning of this, just
Nice.
get around like-minded people there.
That's why we're doing it. That's
Yep.
that's one of the things is we want women to just have the ability to get to know each other, make those connections, find a fishing buddy. It doesn't come
Mhm.
natural. It's not what we've grown up with, right?
Yeah,
So this is kind of a new thing.
it's true. Yeah. So you were from New Hampshire and then moved over here, and then Army and music was would you say it's a passion, something you like doing?
It was a passion, yes, for a very long time. I played trombone, I played French horn, and I played bass guitar. And the
Ooh,
common denominator for all three of those was that none of them is an instrument that you play for yourself just to entertain yourself.
it's true.
So they kind of, when I stopped being in bands, I played for a long time after I got out, but when I stopped being in bands, I kind of stopped playing them. So now I'm trying to learn piano.
It's so funny. We just left from church and our pastor was talking about learning new things. And he was like, if you've ever wanted to learn to play the piano, you got to sign up for lessons, get a piano. And so you said that, and I was just laughing about that. That's funny. Yeah, my wife used to be in a handful of different bands too. So you guys will definitely connect and have a good time from there.
Cool.
Whitney, where are you from? Because I didn't know you just moved to Washington 2 years ago.
I'm from Utah, actually.
Okay. And is
I
that
grew up there.
where?
I grew up there in southern Utah for until I was about, gosh, how long was I there? 25.
Okay.
So
And did you pick up fly fishing over there?
I did, but it was right before I left Utah. So where I grew up in southern Utah, like you had to drive like 3 hours to be to like the nearest fishing place. My brother fly fished for like a little bit, but it was when I was like late teens, early 20s. So I was not paying attention to
Right.
that. I'd always like I'd been interested in fly fishing. Like I always like enjoyed watching it. Like it always looked very peaceful and I don't know, just kind of meditative. It's always kind of been looked that way to me. And then I lived in like northern Utah. We were there for like 8 years, and I didn't really know anyone that fly fish, so I just never got into it. And then I went back to school in like my late 20s, and they offered fly fishing as a like class. So I was
Wow.
like, hey, like, so I took fly fishing 101 for a semester, and then I took like I think I took a semester of fly tying, and at the end of that, we went to one of those. It's like private fishing, like they had like a little river thing and just catch and release, and there's some big fat trout that you could catch, and they're like they had like names for them. They're like, oh yeah, like that guy, he's been caught quite a few times. I was like, oh, so it's fun. So I got to do that, and then we moved up to Washington like shortly after that. So then I was kind of trying to fish by myself and like not really learning a lot. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing out here, just basic. So yeah, and then we moved over. We were in Eastern Washington for 2 years, and then we moved to Seattle, and that's when I kind of met up with Penny and a bunch of ladies, and been trying to learn and go to different classes and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Nice. Do you happen to remember the instructor's name that taught the classes at the university?
I do not remember.
No, I only asked because I was talking to a guy that podcasted with him. He's from Utah, and he was talking about how they've done classes over there at the university, and that's how he got started. And then his instructor asked him to do it because he was in all the classes. It was an elective class. So
Yeah.
I wish we had those classes. What's that?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it was Utah State University. So I'll have to go back and listen and see. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at remembering names from 5 years ago. So
I am too. If I see a face, I'm good. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like if I saw him, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah. And then so I'm just guessing, but did your husband and you meet at university?
No, we met we've been married for like 16 years almost. What years? I don't know. So like we met way back when I lived in southern Utah. So I moved a lot for school, or like his school, and then we moved for my school after that. So.
And what did you study?
Product development. So mostly in like outdoor stuff like that. So clothing, outdoor gear, all that kind of stuff. So
product clothing.
Yeah, product development. So
okay, I gotcha.
Like after design, person who tries to get it made, that kind of thing. So not doing that currently, but
that's funny.
Yeah.
So Whitney, I know you do a little bit of spade casting. You've tried to not try, but you have started to learn a little bit of that.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You picked it up very quickly. I was very impressed. And my wife keeps showing interest in it. And I'm like, I'm not teaching you. You're going to have to get around women because it'll be that constant husband-wife battle. I am doing this. You're doing great, babe. Just keep doing you.
Yep. I understand that. Yeah, I've done just that when I went out with you and Jen, and then the spay day, I kind of got out and try it. I think I just used Jen's rod for a little bit. She let me kind of mess around with it, practice some casting. So, and then I asked, oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. Jordan.
Yep.
If you, I was like, any tips? Tell me tips. And he's like, you're doing pretty good. Just, gave me a couple of things to keep in mind. So I was like, okay, cool. So I definitely want to get into it, but yeah.
Jordan's a good caster. I remember when him and we kind of met at the same point of when we just got into it. And I remember like 6 months later, I met up with him on a river and I was like, dude, what the heck, man? You're awesome now. He was just casting lasers across the river and I'm struggling just to keep up with him. Penny, do you do any trout spay fishing at all?
Yes. So I dabbled a little bit. So I went on a couple of steelheading trips, and so got introduced to spay there. So just a little bit, guide says here, try these few things, and then fish for a couple of hours, and then I say, give me my 8 weight back, please, because I'm so comfortable with a one-handed. And then I took a lesson, and I'm kind of thick. Things don't always stick the first time, so I had a dog like that too. The first 2 years of her life, we went to class every day because she was always having to repeat lessons.
Sounds like a chocolate Labrador.
Golden Doodle.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So then last spring I went down to Portland, and you're gonna ask me with whom I took, and a friend of mine who lives down there, and she had organized this 2-day, us taking this 2-day class, and for whatever reason it just stuck. And so now I haven't had much opportunity, but I went to Spay Day, and with Whitney there, and took some rods out, and I was like, holy smokes, I remember what I'm doing, and I can actually make it work. So now I'm really excited to get out there. I took it with me to Yakima, or the Yak last week, but didn't really, we were walking out a ways, and I didn't want to carry extra rods with me, so I didn't take it out.
Were you guys waiting on the Yakima, or did you guys float it?
No, we were walking waiting, so
Yeah.
going to different places.
It's tough when you are walking waiting with multiple rods. I don't like doing it. I primarily keep a 13.6 spay rod with me, and then I have a little switch rod that's an 11.7. So they're not too bulky, but even if which I don't do much at all, walking waiting anymore, they're not too much. That's why having a raft or a pontoon or something, it's nice to have that, because then you can store an extra rod in there, and God forbid if you break a tip, you got another rod right there with you.
Yeah, right. Well, I have a pontoon boat, but I haven't taken it on any rivers. I just haven't felt confident enough doing that. I do a lot of still water fishing, so that's where I use it.
That's good that you bring that up. I like that, because I was talking to somebody a while back ago about the same thing. They didn't have the confidence in being in a pontoon. And I remember when I started at a section of the river that's only like 2 miles, and it's just like frog water, but you still get the flow of the river. And, you just go out there and start getting a feel for it, what the flows do, what the current does from there. And I always recommend people going with somebody if they can. In my case, I'm a very impatient person and very ambitious. Typical guy, right? Don't nod your heads at that, ladies. Come on.
I was trying not to laugh.
No, it's fine. I like making fun of myself. But it's fun to go out there on like such a low turbulent type of water from there, just to get a feel for it and get the confidence. And that's again why I love being able to go out with other people. That's why I'm excited for you guys as group, because you guys can do group float trips where the person may not feel comfortable, but you have somebody with more experience, and you kind of elevate your confidence when you're around other people, because you feel more safe, you feel more secure that God forbid if something happens, someone else is there to help you out. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't. It's tough for me to even sometimes get myself out fishing by myself. I like to know that I'm with somebody else. I'm a firm believer in that buddy system. It's just but there's times when I don't have someone to go fishing with, and I still want to fish, so I'll go. But then then I have other safety precautions I take. I traveled across the country, and so I took a Garmin InReach with me, and everywhere that I went by myself, I would text somebody and say, I'm going to be out. Here's where I am. And if you don't hear from me by such and such time, so just those kinds of safety measures when I was by myself.
Yeah, I do the same thing. That's really the only reason I switched my cell phone carrier, which I'm regretting, because the service is very challenging. Let's just put it that way. But Apple has the feature on their phone to where if something happens, you can have an emergency SOS. And I like that, because some of the places I'll go are remote, especially if I'm floating. I always know I have something there at the palm of my hand that can get me out of any situation from there. And like you said, I always let, you know, of course, my wife know where I'm going, the stretch of it, the miles of it, where the takeout points are, so that if something does happen, you know, she can always let me know or let other people know where I'm at there.
Right. Yeah. It's just smart.
Yeah.
Whitney, what
Yeah.
kind of safety precautions do you take?
Most of the time I just don't go out by myself. But yeah, we bought I actually bought it for my husband, but we bought like a GPS or a not GPS, but it's called Zolio. It's like the Garmin in Reach. It's same thing. Like I can satellite, I guess is what it would be.
Mhm.
So I can like text off my phone, that kind of thing. So I can get a hold of people, and you can also just push a button and it'll send your location and be like, I'm good. So I'm excited. I just got back. My husband was going to do the Wonderland Trail in like October, which is not the safest time to do it. So I was like, you're taking this. I know you think you'll be fine, but you're taking this, and then I can use it for fishing and stuff like that if I want to go on some more remote things or where service is pretty bad. So
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I have been talking about getting a handgun too, just for fishing purposes, because you know a lot of the areas where there's like cougars and whatnot from there, it's good to have, you know, something like that. We were talking to a buddy of ours probably about a month ago that was at the Deschutes, and it was in the news where he was fishing down there, and he was about 2 miles away from his car, and this cougar came out of the brush, and it tracked him all the way back to his car, like 5-6 feet away from him the whole time. Backed him up 2 miles to his car. And when he got into his car, he said the cougar just came full blown sprint and just pounced right at his car.
Wow.
Oregon Fish and Wildlife, he reported it to them, and they did like a 1 minute news story on it to let people know. But it's stuff like that that makes me a little leery. I mean, if nothing else, have bear spray or something.
yeah,
You know, again, everybody has their opinion. I'm not a big gun guy by any means, but again, if I'm out there with my wife or a fellow angler, or even, you know, with our dog, and God forbid something happens, I have no intentions in, you know, shooting at a cougar. I want to fire a round off in the air or near or around it.
Yeah.
But if something charges you, yeah, you're gonna wish you had something else from there too. So it's definitely good to have safety precautionaries when you go out there. And, you know, to be fair, this guy said he was in the wrong because it was nighttime when he was walking back up to his car.
yeah.
So rule number one there, kids, when it's dark and you're by yourself, time to get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get out of there before it starts. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's definitely those. Yeah, you just gotta, you know, pay attention and make sure you take those. And if I was, you know, usually when we're backcountry, because we backpack a lot, you know, we have bear spray and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
That's smart. So Penny, how was Yakima? Did you guys have good cold? Oh, I bet.
It was really cold. The water was cold. No luck until the third day when I was fishing with a buddy of mine from the Puget Sound Fly Fishing Club that I'm in, and we found some better water that was a slower pace and deeper, because you know that's where the fish are.
Yeah.
And we got pretty lucky. He took a couple out of the same, and I took one out of all out of about the same hole. So that was a very successful end to 3 days of cold fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How were you guys? Were you guys swinging flies or using indicators?
We were doing everything, nymphing with indicators. I tried some tight line nymphing. I'm not very good at it, but I tried it a little bit. And then swinging streamers, and I actually caught mine swinging a soccer mom.
I have to look what that is. I just learned of a new fly too that I was that I was like, oh, okay, well that's what that fly is, and I was like, oh, okay, so soccer mom, I got to look that one up too.
I always think about streamers as how do they compare to a woolly bugger, and so this one it was an olive color with I think it had a orange bead head. I think it had a bead head. I can't remember what color. and then it had a strip of rabbit, kind of like kind of like a zonker, but it was small. It wasn't. It was like a size 10.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it had some interesting hackle around it as well. So a pretty robust hackle around the head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and some flash. So it
Gotta
was a
have
nice
flash.
fly. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a big advocate of flash. Any fly I tie, I just bedazzle it. I'm like, oh, it's so cool. Shiny thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what the fish are thinking too.
Yeah, I know, right? It's come to my experience, they're not.
Right. They want what they want.
Yeah, it's still
Whether we
fun.
have it or not.
So do you tie a lot of your own flies, Penny?
I tie, but it's kind of funny. I have it all. I have a beautiful setup at home for tying, and then I just don't make myself sit down and tie. So I'll go to a group thing and tie 2 or 3 flies, and then I don't tie them again. So yeah, I have everything to tie flies, but I end up buying them because I just don't take the time to tie them.
Yeah. Whitney, do you tie flies?
I tie them as well, but kind of same with Penny. I find I'm like, it's a very social thing. I'll tie like with other people, but I'm not good at like sitting down. I need to get better because I have all the stuff. And like when I got into it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna like tie all the time. And then I was like, oh, I find I'm only doing it when I'm doing it with other people. So
Oh my God, I have a fly tying. I have a fly tying store in my guest room. I should be cranking them out and selling them. I've got so much material.
What kind of flies do you like to tie primarily, Penny?
I gotta say during the pandemic, I was on tying almost every week with some group or another because everybody was doing it by Zoom. So that was a way to stay busy. And so I've tied. I like tying everything. I like tying foam stuff. That's really fun. I like tying dry flies with posts with parachutes.
Mm.
That's really fun too. And then of course streamers because I like I said I fish a lot of lakes, so if I am going to tie for myself, I'm probably going to tie up some different size woolly buggers and some other small things like that, and some leeches and things like that.
I like to tie big, meaty stuff like this here.
oh wow, dang.
Yeah, the flash in there and everything.
Yeah,
Pretty stuff.
Yeah.
Whitney, what do you like to tie?
Pretty much what I haven't tied a lot of different stuff. But I like dry flies and stuff like that because I prefer.
Ooh, maybe some flies.
Yeah, I always want to be on a river swinging dry flies, so I like to tie them, but whatever. We just did last month, Penny and I tied some woolly buggers. Those were always fun with all the marabou and stuff. We were getting into some different color, having fun with like color patterns and stuff like that. So it was good. So
yeah, woolly buggers are always a good go-to fly from there.
Yeah.
Penny,
like
did you come
like
bearing gifts to show us?
No, I was putting some paper in the printer. I got to print out a couple of things for our social this afternoon.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, maybe she's bringing some flies.
I could have there.
Yeah.
I could have, but yeah.
Show
I
and
did
tell.
tie a kind of a big one the other day, actually, with Keaton at his tying event,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
the Young Guides.
Yeah, I think fly tying events, and I kind of feel like now, like I didn't get back into fly fishing until during COVID, actually, and it wasn't because of COVID, like, oh, I got to do something. It was just the natural progression. I'd been out of it for a handful of years, but I feel like things are now starting to come back to where we're starting to get spay clave events, and I wish in my area, like I'm in Mill Creek, I wish our area had more fly tying events because it would be very beneficial for me because you can see a video. Like I'm really big on learning how to do composite loops right now. And you second guess yourself. You'll stack the material in. It's all material handling. Is it all even? As you're spinning it, you start, am I spinning it enough? Is it not enough? Why does it look like this? Why? There's a lot of questions. And when you can have an instructor, and that's a big benefit of having an instructor and somebody with experience, is you can have somebody go, oh no, you're doing this way versus that way. And sometimes it's that 1% tweak that you're like, oh, I get it. So again, that's why I'm excited for the group you guys have going on, because you guys can take this any direction, and it just, iron sharpens iron, right? Everybody's going to get better. Rising tides, rise all ships from there, and it just elevates everybody's journey and their game and their skill set. And again, I heard this on a commercial. I've heard it before, but it said, when you don't worry about who gets the results, it's amazing what can be accomplished.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's good. Like you said earlier, Penny, you throw the ego out. And again, it's amazing what people can accomplish and what you can learn from there. I think so many times our egos get in our way of our growth from learning stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, I know we want to wrap this up around 1:30. I know you ladies got to get going. I want to give you enough time. But Penny, do you have a cool story that's recent to your memory you want to share with us?
A cool story. No, but I have a future story that I want to tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to Antarctica at the end of the year for 3 weeks. And then after that, I'm going to Chile and fishing for a week in Patagonia.
Oh,
So jealous.
I'm totally looking forward to that.
You're fishing up in Antarctica?
No, I'm cruising in Antarctica,
Okay.
viewing penguins and things like that, doing the whole tourist thing.
Nice.
But then after that, so that's a 3-week cruise. And then after that, I'm flying over to Chile and fishing for a week in kind of the middle part of Patagonia.
And what are you targeting out there?
Trout. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a trout girl. I've gone bass fishing a couple times, and people tell me that bass fishing can be really, really, really fun on the fly. And yet I just like trout.
I've heard the same. I want to try to get into some bass fishing on the fly rod.
Yeah.
Excuse me. This year.
I did go on a bass trip, a 1-day float, and when I was in Wisconsin 2 summers ago, and it was a really, really hot day, like 99 degrees or something like that. And so the fish were pretty lethargic. But once the guide there were some tires on the side of the bank, and he said, cast just in front of those tires. And I'm like, okay. And he was standing quite a ways off. And so I cast and got my fly to land on the tire, and then it slid down the tire into the water. And a biggish kind of bass came up and took that. That was fun. I mean, because it hit like a freight train. It was, yeah. So I can see, I may not have given it a good shot because it was such a lethargic day. So I probably need to do it again, because that was just seeing that fish hit like that. I mean, really, really aggressive take. It was fun.
I bet. That's cool. I don't know if you were there too, Penny, but remember that day we had at the Mayfly when it was so hot and we had tents and everything?
That was a rough day. That was hot.
It was so hot. I don't even know what the temperature was, but we were all just like, we would go out in the sun for 20 minutes and be like, water break. We'd go back out for 20 minutes and be like, popsicle break. And we were all like, if there's any fish here, there's nothing going to happen.
Yeah, it's too hot for those trout were deep.
In the summer of 21, I was on the road for 5 months with my trailer, fly fishing across the country. And I left Seattle at the end of May, 27th of May, and I crossed down into Northern California like the 30th of May. And from that point on until late August in Pennsylvania. So it was never below 90 that entire time. Every state I was in, and I was in a lot of them, never below 90. It was the toughest time, the toughest summer to pick to do that cross-country trip.
Oh, I bet.
Especially that East Coast, getting all that humidity and the heat. Oof.
Oh yeah. And then I got into the dregs of the big hurricane, and so I sat in my trailer for 26 hours watching it rain. It was raining so hard I wouldn't even go out.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if I had been up on high ground, I'd have been in trouble, because the creek that I fished the day before, when I left after the rain passed, that creek was out of its banks.
Ooh.
Yeah, and there was localized flooding. Yeah, it was something.
That's wild. What part of Northern California were you in?
So I was in pretty far north. Uh, hmm.
Like Reddington area or?
Yeah, yes,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I fished the Fall River.
Oh
I
yeah.
was, yeah. And that was amazing. I was also going to do the McLeod, but it was so hot. It was 100 degrees. I'm like, I can't do 2 full days of fishing in a row in this temperature. Can't do
No.
it. So I went and found a casino and played indoors in the air conditioning instead.
There you go. That's
Nice.
fun. Whitney, what about you? You got a cool fishing story for us?
Um, it's been a while since I've had any like good fishing stories, but I think the last one, I don't even remember. It was sometime during the pandemic. Uh, and when I was still kind of just learning by myself. We had tied on what it was like a Zoom thing. We tied chum babies, maybe, I think. And then my husband decided, oh, and a friend of mine had started National Women's Fly Fishing Day, which is like June 27th,
Oh,
I think you say, yeah. And so my husband was like, oh, let's go for a hike up to like an alpine lake and then you can fish and, I get a hike in. I was like, cool. So we like hiked up to like a nice alpine lake and like I threw my first, or I think that was the first time I ever fished one of my own flies. So I like threw that out and caught a beautiful cutthroat like on the first cast. And like, so I felt pretty badass that day, just being like, like my own fly. I hike. It was like a pretty tough hike. It was like, I was like, how far is this thing? And then like, yeah, I caught a nice little cutthroat on that. So that was like a good story. So good
How long
time.
was your hike?
Probably 4-ish miles. Like it was maybe longer. I can't remember. I don't even remember what lake I'd have to ask my husband which lake it was. So it was like up in it was the Eastern Cascades because we were still in Grand Coulee at the time. So yeah, that was fun.
Is
Like
that
first
4 miles
time.
one way or round?
Yeah, one way.
8 miles, huh?
Yeah, just
Oh,
at that time it was pretty normal for us. I'm gotten out of my long hiking shape the last couple of years, but
boy, 8 miles.
yeah,
That's a big
yeah,
hike.
it's definitely fun. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I want to be respectful of your guys' time, but don't go anywhere. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Before I do that, though, do you guys want to shout out or plug any websites, Instagrams, anything like that? I'll put them in the description also.
So at the moment we have a Facebook page and that has the most information at this time on like what we have going. And that's just Puget Sound Women on the Fly. And then we also have an Instagram up. So, and I'm kind of working on trying to get some stuff on there. We will have a website. We'll announce it on both of those platforms once we get it. But, things take time.
Yeah. Anything you want to add or mention before we sign off?
No, the only thing I want to mention is that any women out there that want to gather with other women to fly fish, hit us up. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, at any level, like, even if you're new, you've never fished, you want to fish, like, we're happy to, we're not pros, but we're happy to help you get out there, find some stuff. I think a big thing for us is just barrier to entry, like we'll find you some rods to borrow or whatever. So like, don't let anything keep you from getting out there.
Yeah, that's good. Just show up and the ladies will take care of you gals from there. So, like I said, sit tight for 1 sec. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody and then I'll say goodbye to you ladies. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I like hearing the heart, the camaraderie of just people getting together, helping each other out and getting better at a craft from there. So I will put all the links and all the descriptions in there so you guys can find the ladies, spread the word to, any family members that that maybe are on the fence and want to get into it. These ladies will help you out. So till next time, I'll see you all later.